Welcome back to the FACEIT Ignite Halo European Open, where before the break we saw Back to Classic absolutely demolishing Stush gaming there. We can see from some of these highlights, they had some incredible moments, didn't they, Harry?
It was incredible, and it's nice to see the Sandals compete offline, because I've not seen them compete offline before, and like I mentioned, they grind really, really hard, and I'm playing against them all the time, no matter what time of day and night it is, and it's nice to see them really transfer their performance from online to offline here. And we kind of expected in some ways Back to Classic are quite a strong team. I'd like to see how they go future in the groups, maybe if they even make it into the double elimination side. But Stush, we have heard some of those members before, but it was just a little bit too much for them, especially on that Construct Hill game.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we have the lovely Wonder Boy joining us up on the analyst desk. How's your day been so far?
Yeah, I've been here, there, and everywhere,
really
just making sure I'm on top of things, knowing everything that's going on here at FACEIT Ignite. But yeah, it's been great so far.
What did you make of that last game? Because it was a pretty quick series.
It was. Both of them were. It's always unfortunate when you do get those games that don't quite go the distance, but both of them, both the winning teams, both Tox and Back to Classic, showing that they are worth their current standings in the Swiss.
But definitely. I mean, I know you spoke to Smackdown after that Tox gaming when you said, well, he mentioned that Respectful and Jimbo are two players he's kind of looking forward to facing later. Is that something that was to be expected?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you think about EU Halo, I think two of the names that are synonymous with the European scene, especially on the international stage, are Respectful, renowned as the best player in Europe, and Jimbo, one of the most successful, has been on two different or multiple different now actually top 8 rosters internationally. So yeah, it's not surprising to see him pull those two names out, but to be honest, with Tox Gaming, I think they're just looking to beat whoever's in front of them.
Well, exactly, and they have one more game to go. Well, potentially one more game to go. We're expecting them to go 3-0 right straight into tomorrow's Championship Sunday.
Yeah, they're literally seeing this as target practice right now, and you know, just getting warm ready for Championship Sunday. And like I mentioned before, even the top EU teams will struggle to take maps off them, let alone the low tier ones. You know, for them, it's just a learning curve, a learning experience for them to try and pick up anything which they might help them in the future. But sometimes some of the games will go so quick there won't be too much to learn from unless they watch the VODs back. But we'll have to see how things go later.
You were speaking to some of the players afterwards, and they were just saying, "Well, that was a whirlwind."
Yeah,
right?
they were like, "I didn't get 0 kills." I was like, "Okay, mate, that's fine. If you're happy with that, then you know, all for it." So.
Well, we're going to be heading into our second game of round 2, and it is MOCKIT versus Improv. Obviously, MOCKIT was in the qualifiers for the spot for being flown out here, all expenses paid trip from the EU bracket. They finished 5th to 8th, so not terrible, but didn't look as strong as some of the other EU teams. Are you expecting them to be putting everything out this game?
This should be another 3-0 or 3-1 in favour of MOCKIT here, just due to the fact that with some of these players, I know players like Looney and the rest of the guys in Warlord as well, very, very good Halo 5 players. You know, they managed to get around that top 4, top 6 margin consistently throughout the whole course of the period of the last couple of years. But the only thing we've got to think about now is how will they transition that to Halo 3. I know Warlord can, because he was a very good H2A player by the end of the season. But now he should be fine, but it's about the rest of the guys. But look on the other side of Improv as well. I've heard of C1R back on the days of Reach. I remember Dave used to compete in a lot of the online tournaments and has done some LAN events here and there. Even a couple of players like Diddums as well, who are playing against only once or twice online a few days ago. They can hold their own, but the question is, can we hold against MOCKIT? I don't know.
Yeah, what are you thinking, Wonder Boy?
I think if you're going to look for a player to step up for Improv, it is, as you said, Diddums. Back in the day, back when Halo 3 was in its prime, in its ascendancy, I suppose you could say. He was one of those standout players who was on the up and up, and he's certainly one that I would look out for. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm thinking MOCKIT probably should be coming out with this win. But again, it's Halo 3 on LAN. We've seen, you know, a few closer games than we might not have expected. When you think back to the first game of the day, especially, anything can happen. Anything can happen here on LAN.
Exactly. Well, we just saw the match format coming up on screen. It's going to be the same because we're still in those round 2 games. But are we even going to be getting to those 4th and 5th maps, do you think?
Game 4 is a possibility. Game 5, absolutely not. I think MOCKIT have got way too much experience, and they've had so many North American events they've actually held back on as well. Yep. So to piggyback off that, it's so hard to say, because you did mention before Diddums is quite good. I played against him before. I was a bit, I'm not too sure. Individually, like, you know, with his strafe and his slaying power, I'm not too sure. But there is sometimes where he does have his moments here and there. But, you know, that could be Halo 5 or Halo 3. When I played against him, I wasn't too sure. I expect C1R to try and do the best he can, just due to the fact that I played against him a lot of the last week or two. And he does hold his own. He does do quite well, you know, especially with the classic style of Halo. He seems to know how it all works, the movement, the basics, the fundamentals are quite good. But, you know, this is just 1 or 2 members, you know. All of the MOCKIT team know how to coordinate so well. And that's what made Halo 5 so important for them. And I'm sure they can carry enough mechanics to actually bring that across.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been talking about momentum, right? It seems to be the theme of the last few matches, right? Clean 3-0s. Is that something that you think Improv are going to have to start focusing on if they want to be in with a chance of taking this series?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to start strong. You have to surprise a team like MOCKIT. As you said, so much experience behind them. They know how to get themselves back in the series, even if they are 1 or 2 down. But to put them in that position in the first place, yes, it's easier said than done. But I think that's the way that you beat them if you're Improv. That's the way you have to approach the series. Take the first 2 games, then make them, you know, already be on the back foot. Even game 1, take game 1. You know you're going to at least a game 4. That gives you, again, 3 more games to get another map. And then from then on, you only need 1 more. So I would definitely say MOCKIT are the favourites, but if Improv do approach it with that mentality, there's certainly a chance that they could be in the driver's seat early on in this series as well.
The only thing I can say, it doesn't matter how structured you are in this game. Like, even as a mix, this game's been up for 10 years. The meta has barely changed. The only thing that has changed is some players' movements and the start strategies and how they execute in certain ways, because they try and change things a little bit to make things a bit more unorthodox to kind of catch you off guard. But even then, to do something like that, it does depend on the maps. But the key thing with Halo 5 was coordination. It was one of the most key things more than anything in that game. And Halo 3, it's very similar to that. The only problem is the fact that with the Spartan abilities, you can't afford to make as many mistakes like compared to Halo 5, because Halo 5 you can thrust out the way, you can spin away, all that bits and pieces I spoke about 2 series ago. But with Halo 3, you do it once, you're done. You know, you're going to get shut down for it straight away. But, you know, this team on the side of MOCKIT, they know that more than anyone.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for that. We're going to head over to see our casters. We're going to have a little chat with them, see what they're predicting for this particular matchup. Let's see them there. We, of course, got the lovely Sims and Dan Gaskin as well.
Dad!
How are you guys doing?
Jet lag. Dying inside. But it's good to be here.
Great. This is going to be good. I was expecting excitement and the
Go on, get pumped, Sims.
You have no idea how much carrying you've got to do in this event, my friend.
Also, why did they build the desk this high? I mean, I feel small as it is, but I feel like I'm just peering over this.
Dan's actually...
What about if I come down here?
The best part is Dan stood up right now at that desk. You guys, that's just how
really
short
is.
he really is.
Yeah. Okay.
Gina box, Dan.
What a time to be alive when you get in, actually. Crap thrown at you by Harry.
Yeah, short jokes from Harry, who is the same size
I've met
as me.
Baby Sims. Baby Sims is here.
You wanted predictions, didn't you?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry.
We should probably get into those. I think MOCKIT should take this one comfortably, as the desk are saying, but you never know what can happen in Halo 3 on LAN. I think Improv are going to be feeling pumped after their victory in their first game, so I think this could be an exciting one.
It's good. When we talk about LAN, and kind of Dan touched on it a little bit, Halo 3 is a different game completely altogether, right? It just feels like you're getting smashed by Thor's hammer across map time and time again. Coming from online to LAN, it can be a totally different ball game, but MOCKIT, we've seen him quite a few times, especially in Halo 5, doing some weird and wonderful stuff, so I'd expect this to be a 3-0, but anything can happen.
Well, thank you very much for that, gentlemen. With that, let's head into game number 4.
Danny boy, 10 months away from Halo. 10 months. Feels good. How are you?
Feels good. I mean, it's about 2 years since I've casted with you as well. This is where we started. This is where we began. This is a really nice
2016
nice
Worlds?
moment. Yeah.
Wow.
And we're back.
And
Halo
this,
3.
by the way, this view is incredible. The little setup they've got going here, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. It's, for me, coming into this, it's been nice to see FACEIT join the ranks of all the other UK TOs that have been jumping in on Halo and been able to do something. I've had the pleasure of working them in another game, and honestly, so far, it's good. It's good to see support coming out for Halo. I'm going to stop talking about that now, because it looks like game number 1 is actually underway, Dan. I believe this is Onslaught Flag.
Onslaught Flag it is, and MOCKIT, of course, are going to try and be aggressive, as they are so ever aggressive throughout Halo 5. Whether it's going to pay dividends and actually work out in Halo 3, that remains to be seen. And of course, they're going to try and control some height on this map and see if they can get Improv on spawn. But a couple of nice grenades coming out early from Improv to stop the sheer aggression from the early start from MOCKIT.
If some of these guys, and I was speaking to Harry in the back, and he says a few of them are OGs, and they have been playing this a long time, which for some people now, even with Halo 3, this could be their first LAN. Regardless of how old this game is, this could be your first LAN event. And I'm all for it. With MCC coming out on PC, I'd expect to see a lot more people joining the ranks and enjoying the classic game that we have loved for God knows how many years and been playing for how many years. The two sides of this coin is the fact that, one, you could be playing veterans that have literally sat in the playlist and never moved from it, all the way back even from the 360 level throughout MCC. The second point is that online to LAN, out of all the Halos, for me, this is the most differential. This on LAN really frigging hurts if you don't keep your head down.
And I mean, I was talking about this as well, but back in the day, 10 years ago, our online connections weren't that great. So that we felt it a lot more going from online to LAN. Nowadays, people's connections are so much better. I know we get those that play on Wi-Fi still, and I'm going to say, why are you still playing on Wi-Fi? Get an Ethernet cable, please. For the rest of us, it will help us so truly. But there isn't as much of a difference. Of course, we see a massive impact on some of the players mentally, and of course, you are going to feel it, your host especially. But I'd like to think that if you're playing well online, you should be able to transition to LAN a little bit better than you used to be able to back in the day.
Just to go for the bomb recap. Will be tucked back in the base. Benjamin, I like that name. Not quite left on the bench, actually playing. There's a lot of things we can do. It's Squashy. Initial move. There is someone across on the opposing base. They could throw this up, but now this is where you see teams kind of overcommit to these bottom middle flags. I like the fact they're not. They're sitting back, playing defensive rather than offensive. Sometimes you can just feed the enemy team by getting a victory. That's a decent nade. Both players tanked up. This could be an easy double if you can pick it up. If not, the communication should be there, and his teammates should be wiping these out, clearing the bottom of the base so they can move forward.
A little bit shaky with his sensitivity as well, Organs, and an interesting event for him. When we look at the MOCKIT roster, we're so used to seeing some of these names like Looney, like Warlord and Squashy, but Organs not really that player we've seen as the fourth. We've seen Outcast there, Warlord's brother, who often fills in. So Organs, maybe he's going to feel slightly out of touch, maybe that communication won't be there. So this is a big event for him to really show what he can do alongside this roster.
I'm excited to see what Looney and this roster can do as a whole, to be honest with you, because I know they are, we've memed about and we've joked about it, these guys love Halo 5. They are very much embracers of the advanced mobility. They've done well in America. They are fantastic individually skilled players. So to see them on a game where everyone has been there, done that, got the t-shirt, been on LAN before, generally speaking, how you kind of step up to that, because it's a totally different ball game. No sprint, no abilities, nade bouncing galore, no radar whatsoever. It's night and day scenario. But on MOCKIT, they are absolute grinders.
They are grinders. However, I wonder how much the announcement of the Halo 5 2v2 that's going to be happening tomorrow hurt their practice, because I know that is something they are considering. If they don't get as far in the tournament, they are going to be entering the Halo 5 2v2. So did they maybe slow down their Halo 3 practice and begin playing Halo 5 a little bit more with that consideration in their heads?
Double follows up, so we know where they're going to be respawning. Doesn't realise there was one trap below the base. If you're going to make a push like that, you have to have your teammates on the opposing side to coordinate it through. One stays alive here for MOCKIT, so they'll come off the respawn. Daz initially, it's Looney. Death from above, two players. Top B. Morgan pushes out from the mid side. Just got to be careful they don't know where he is now. I like this. Gets the call back because the out one's dead. Fair play, they can clean it out. Who's he got? A pole above? I'm going to say opposed to him, but it's actually a player above Dumpster. Down he goes, Squashy, broken a hard place. Two players committing to this one. They do have three on this side of the map. Where's the fourth? Okay, so the clear out's there. Now they can advance forward, but they probably will be met with force middle of this map.
Improv doing really well to control the higher sides of the map at the moment. We're seeing a lot of bottom middle pushes underneath A and B from MOCKIT, and it's not really working out for them. Yes, okay, they're able to turn around and finish off some people that are pushing into their base, but then they're not getting to those top middle positions quick enough to try and initiate any sort of spawn trap or spawn cycle, and that's why we're still seeing it 0-0, all tied up, because we're getting so many individual battles, which is great. You can win one battle, win two, but then you need to put yourself in a position where you can make that three, make that four, so you can actually start pulling some flags.
Benjamin a little bit over aggressive there with the grenade and going off in the face. Basically rings the alarm bell and the dinner bell and alerts players that you are lurking. If it had held back and just held his trigger for a second, it may have allowed the players to push out, wait for his teams to take them down, then advance forward and try and make something happen. But instead, a lot of these players, they do just throw grenades like constantly, and I think from Halo 5, that was certainly a big one. Been able to give you hit markers, you use it for information as such, and for individuals moving into Halo 3, that can be in the back of your mind. You can just do it as, what's the word I'm kind of looking for, just repetitiveness will continue forward. You just throw the nades continuously. In this, you have to, I'll hold for a second, because this could be a flag cap. It's out in the open. Hopefully they don't commit to it. They should be trying to stay alive here rather than instantly dying. I think that's 4 dead in the cap down.
Yep, that's going to be 1-0 then to MOCKIT, and you're talking about the repetition of grenades, of course. And yeah, okay, you don't get the hit markers in Halo 5, but you can still in Halo 3 use those grenades in fantastic positions to predict where people are going to be pushing, and then it gives you the advantage in those 1v1 scenarios. And that's what both teams have been doing pretty well actually with their grenades, and that's unfortunate from Looney. Just unfortunately, he looked away thinking he had the kill, and it's not going to work out sometimes when you're too confident of getting that kill, because of course that BR spread isn't always perfect.
Yeah, we've had many a discussion over the years. It's a different way to play on Halo 3, leading your shots, the spray pattern of the bullets, the spread, should I say, excuse me, not spray. Probably working on a different game. Down below dumpster, Squashy comes in, there is a call, so the trade over there picks up the refrag, and now they're moving the flag indeed. Okay, so I like this. You are down to half shields. Stu with a cleanup, top mid, not going to happen, buddy. Stops that one in its tracks.
Always dangerous when you're running the flag dumpster as well, because you are going to be susceptible to a couple of nades off spawn. I like the fact that Organs did just chuck the flag out, and he's more than happy to take a challenge though. I think that's what you've got to do. If you're going to run the flag, you can't just assume that everyone's going to protect you. You need to use your battle rifle as well. It's not Halo 5. You don't have a pistol to work with the flag. You need to be dropping it, you need to be shooting, run and gun, communicate with your teammates, and then that's how you're actually going to be able to get that flag across the map.
Benjamin with the bait. Looney rocking a hard place. That'll be 3 down. Now you need to predict where they're going to be spawning. You know you're on one side of the map, you're on B, so they'll be locking it down over at A. Move to top bit. I like this. Why? At the moment, they're pushing back into the base is questionable. They should have been advancing outward. They kind of got baited in there to a bit of an entrapment, to be honest. And all of a sudden, we're all tied up one apiece. Straight off the bat like that. Okay, I didn't see the full picture here. There might be a call from the captain that says, dead flag, leave it, boys, let's clear out the base and go again. But suddenly it felt like there were a little bit more time. You could have advanced forward rather than just getting baited and dying in the base simultaneously, because now you're back on the respawn and you're still on the back foot.
I feel like MOCKIT gave too much respect to Improv there. The setup wasn't that good from MOCKIT, and MOCKIT had the chance to push out a little bit more aggressively, because there was only one player actually watching the spawn, but they presumed there was going to be a better setup, so there was the call of, all right, let's not go for it, let's reset, let's get into our base. But unfortunately, they actually ran into the setup from Improv, so it just didn't work out for them. Maybe MOCKIT just need to keep an eye on where these players are going to be watching on spawn traps.
God, it's so fun to be casting this game, but it's actually completely different altogether. I mean, this is my first time really casting a HCS event. I've done it back in the day for the European small local lands and so on and so forth, but I forgot how hard Halo 3 is actually to cast, because there's so much of a dynamic going on across the map. It's not about what's going on the screen, it's about what's going off screen. Your captain, your IGL, calling where you need to be pushing, what you need to be doing now. Like, there's multiple players inside this base, they should be moving this flag, there is on the opposing side, you have to set up, you have to be prepared to receive this. Rather than just die like that and throw it out to the open, you need your teammates. Communication in Halo 3 is just, it's second to none. It's so imperative. If you want to coordinate these pushes and pulls, you have to be working together. I mean, I'm surprised Warlord did manage to get a touch on that, but it's at least nice to show they were aware of it. As soon as he does get the touch, they do go down. 2 players stepping up here. Looney says, no, not today. So they clear this one out. Should be looking for this last player to back off from this one. Get the spawn from the team. I can hear shots already going in the background. Does at least take some players out before he dies. So that slows down the advancement from MOCKIT. They're there to clean up the push. And now they've got 2 players on the opposing side. So initial frag will go down in the base. They can get a move on this one because they do have support from the opposing side. But who is watching the dumpster? He's actually being beaten down there initially. Okay, no one else to receive it inside the base. They should be able to bounce this one up. Job done.
Great movement from Warlord though. I mean, even if he is a Halo 5 player or whatever, I mean, he's played every iteration of Halo as Warlord. Even if he wasn't born when Halo 1 and Halo 2 were out, he still knows how to move around the map. He knows which areas to avoid. He's jumping up into the right spaces to make sure he's not being hit by easy grenades. I mean, he's a very smart individual, is Warlord, and alongside some other aggressive players, they do work out. Whether it's Halo 3, whether it's Halo 4, whether it's Halo 5, they're going to find a way to be a nuisance. But I'm very much impressed that Improv kept this so close and have a chance to really take the lead here. Okay, they've gone 3 dead at the moment, but they are keeping MOCKIT at bay.
We still can't let Warlord get away from the fact that he did Goose on main stage during the Pro League finals, but, you know, we'll always just make acknowledgement every down. But no, I totally agree. Warlord is one of those players where you meet in the place and, well, I'm not winning this one. It's game over already before it even starts. They put so much time and effort into practice. Practice makes perfect. Speaking of perfect, this will be a perfect run. The backup's there, drops the flag, there's no shields. In we go, 2-1.
And those are the simple things, just flag runs, communicating with your teammates, saying, I'm weak, can you put this in? We saw a couple of games earlier on in the tournament where we saw flag fumbles and it cost games. If you can have that simple coordination, if you know how to run a flag, if you don't mess up those simple button combinations, then you can at least do those basics and you're going to be in a good place when you get the flag into those scenarios. So we should expect players like MOCKIT Esports to actually be able to achieve things like that. So I'm sure they'll think I'm somewhat condescending of pointing that out, but I think it's worth pointing out because we've seen it fail earlier on in the tournament.
Certainly with a lot of these teams here this weekend, we won't know the players, we won't know some of the teams, we can deep dive and delve into these players and their histories as much as humanly possible, but for some of them you just simply cannot go that deep and that far, and for some it will be their first event. However, we do want to highlight as much as we can. We know these individuals on the side of MOCKIT, but certainly for the opposing side on Improv, they're not going down without a fight. Things are starting to run away with it a little bit too fast, with 2 back-to-back caps within a couple of minutes of one another. The daunting task starts to set in, and just like that, 4 down. You coordinate the pull, you coordinate the push. If they can stop doing his tracks, there'll be something done, but death from above. Good placement from Warlord to stay there for now. Josh will scoop this one up. And all being well, that should be 4-1 to MOCKIT.
A couple of grenades coming in, but there's someone to clean it up yet again. So fantastically worked from MOCKIT, performing a lot better now when we got to the last stages of this game. They've started to warm up, their shots are being hit, and they're starting to get a little bit loud. I mean, I can't physically hear them, but I can see Organs, for example, he's shouting at every single VR shot. And I think that's important. You've got to let your teammates know that you're feeling good, and let your opponents know you're there as well. Get in their heads. And MOCKIT should be taking this one with only 2 minutes and 25 seconds left.
I wonder how much fatigue plays a factor in Halo 3 for some of these individuals. I mean, you looked at about the 20-minute mark in this game, and everything was looking quite steady away. Even Stevens across the board, 1-1. And then MOCKIT just completely turned tables. I've seen 4 down multiple times. We've seen 2 flag caps within a couple of minutes of one another, and all of a sudden we're at 3 flags, multiple deaths, all in the space of about 5 minutes. So maybe the communication, maybe the teamwork. There's a mental game and a mental factor to this, right? If you are constantly dying and constantly going down, and what the communication's like on the opposing side, but you've just got to fight through that. You've got to battle it through. When things go bad and things get tough, you got to work as a roster. You got to look towards your captain, towards your coach to drag you through that, to bring you back up, get the communication going, get the teamwork going. I think this could be a 5-1, to be honest. Warlord's inside the base, just laying it down. His teammates are behind him. See if they get baited in this corner. If they do, the Slayers will be there, and the time to road should be now.
Flag's going to be pulled on the other side, actually. Improv are going to be able to run one now, and maybe they can make a comeback. I was going to say, historically, Onslaught is one of the hardest games to actually come back into, and especially when you're behind and you're getting spawn trapped, and that was happening to Improv for a little bit. But this is MOCKIT's first game of the day. They did get a bye in the first round, so there is that sense of, well, we're warming up a little bit, we're getting used to our shot, we're getting used to communicating again as a team. It's all well and good playing free-for-all to warm up, but it's very different when you get into the map.
Just something you spoke about, and I kind of want to expand on that a little bit. Don't you find that Onslaught is one of those maps where teams can just lose all composure, and all of a sudden you can be up 4-1, 4-2, and then back-to-back-to-back, flag caps will happen. The players will just start to sweat, the communication will fall through the roof, and all of a sudden before you know it, we're all tied up like this. Okay, it's 4-2, but at any given moment, it could completely explode and be turned on its head. It's just one of those maps where I feel reverse, it's hard to say reverse sweep, so when we look at flag captures, for example, it happens more often than not.
You can easily get very flustered, and because it's such a short space of one flag spot to the other, it can be so quickly transitioned from one side to the other of the map. And even now, with only 12 seconds left, there was still a possibility for Improv to get that flag to the other side of the map, pick up the flag before the timer went out, and they could have had a chance to get back into it. It's not going to happen now, as we're going to tick over to 15, and that's going to be game, and MOCKIT are going to go 1-0 up here with a relatively decent opening performance from them, but I'm impressed with how Improv were able to keep them held back for a little bit.
There were certainly signs of life. Going down 4-2 is not a complete smashing by any means whatsoever, and as you said, should there have been a little bit more time on there, maybe even if they pushed it towards the 3 mark on flag caps, you might have been able to just potentially suicide the last one, go for it, push on. We'll take a look at the kills and see if this transitions down. Who did well on the opposing side? Oh, Warlord, what would you expect? 45 and 23, decent run from him. Everyone on the opposing side, I mean, even when we look towards Kenneth, 23 and 33, yes, it's a tank load of deaths, but 29 assists at least shows that you're backing up the teammates before you go down.
Yeah, it was a relatively close game, aside from Warlord getting that, plus 22, which is fairly impressive, I'd say, but that's because he's putting themselves in those positions. He was happy to jump up on the house. He was happy to take those top middle positions when he saw the spawns as well. Warlord is a player who thrives in those small kind of encountered maps. He loves maps like Warlock, for example. He just gets in behind and he's very sneaky.
He's a messy player, isn't he?
He is very messy, and he's not fun to go up against, I can tell you that.
Kind of a nuisance. I remember on H2A the amount of times we'd just play him on Sank and he'd just be in sniper every single time with a shotgun, just murdering players off spawn. Been able to kind of a pistola kind of play where it's just impossible to kill, just a nuisance.
He's almost like he plays free-for-all in the game, and the rest of the team is just assisting him. And I think that's you need players like that on a team, as long as at the right time he knows when to come back and when to help his teammates as well, or knows when to run the objective, which we did see in this game. Then that's a very good all-rounded player from Warlord. And I mean, even though he still looks 16, 17, he's getting on now. He's been around for quite some time, and he has got quite the amount of experience in his back pocket.
He's a real boy, Geppetto.
He is?
He is a real boy.
I mean, it's rich coming from me. I still look about 16, 17 at 28, but there we are.
My son does have thicker arms than you.
Is thick arms a questionable thing about age, or is that just...
He lifts. He's 6 months old, and he's already lifted his own bottle.
I'm very, very proud of him.
I tell you what, Onset's been lifting, hasn't he?
He has.
What a figure of a man.
Speaking of that, your son also has more hair than Onset.
He does.
So...
I think the more hair that Mark loses, the bigger he gets. It's just kind of like... You know, like Samson, where you cut his hair off and he went all weak. I think with Mark, it's the other way around. You shave him and he just turns into the Hulk.
The scary thing is, we probably shouldn't be saying these insults because he is very large.
Mark would rip my arms off and beat me with a wet end.
He probably would, and that's the terrifying factor about Onset, to be honest. As we look at some of these replays from this game one, and it was a very cagey game early on. It was very difficult, I think, for either team to get that spawn trap going, to get that height control, but you pointed out is around the 20-minute mark was when either Improv dropped off or MOCKIT just suddenly stepped up and got into these positions. And it was Warlord picking up those multi-kills that allowed his team to start running the flags and getting the flag, of course, back to their base to get a 4-2 victory.
Quick shout out to all the North Americans in the chat. I've seen a few people lingering and getting up early on Twitter. It's nice to see them supporting European Halo. I mean, to be fair, it's nice to see everyone in the chat supporting European Halo. So thank you very much for joining us today. 25 grand tournament. Certainly not a money to be stiffed your nose at. 2 days across this. We go through our group stage today, our Swiss groups, and then into a best of 5 double elimination tomorrow. Top 12 from each of these groups through A all the way through to D. Your top 3 advance. The 2 will be going to the upper echelon of the bracket. If you come third, you've obviously lost a match. You've had a life removed from you. You will drop down to the lower side. So getting in the top 2 of these groups, or getting out of the groups in top 2, is definitely the way that these players want to be doing, these teams want to do, because then you've got a bit more advantage. If you go down to that elimination side of the lower bracket, some people call it the loser from back in the day, unfortunately you've only got 1 life left. Now, moving across to Heretic, or what we know more formally, Daniel, as Midship.
Yep, that was the original name, of course, and how this map has just transitioned from Halo to Halo has been... It's just been a staple part of Halo esports, and that means, though, that everyone knows how to play it. Everyone knows the positions they need to be in, and realistically, MOCKIT should be able to put themselves in a situation here where they can comfortably set themselves up and keep catching Improv on spawn. But actually, an early start from Improv has found them with a 4-kill lead, and C1R, who we're watching, he is a player who used to compete back in the day. I don't know if you remember the names of Impact. For an example, he used to team with him as well, so he is a player who will thrive in this particular scenario.
Only main difference and factor as we look back to Halo 5 from people who will have been playing this day in day out is probably the size of it. Yes, there are abilities to traverse that map in a different level of speed, but certainly it's a much quicker paced game. Feels a bit slower with it being Halo 3 compared to Halo 2, but certainly it plays the exact same. P3 I don't think is as strong as what it used to be. It's certainly a power play if you want to make something move. If you're playing Flag, for instance, you can just overwatch from up there, and you've got a bird's eye view, even if you're not laying down shots. I mean, from a LAN perspective, you will be hitting 90% of those shots and just doing damage. Even look at that straight across the car. It just wrecks his shield at distance. It hurts. Online, it really hurts. So it is a good position, especially when we look towards, if you get an IGL up there or someone who's very vocal. But come with a vocal kind of stance, you need to make sure your call-outs are clear, they're concise, you're not just shouting, oh, one shot here, one shot there. It's like, no. There's a bigger picture to calling out and being that vocal presence on your team, being that leader, directing the attention, marking up who's who. Sometimes you hear it, people just scream on a team, and it's just like a mental block inside your headphones. I've even in matchmaking with people just screaming constantly, every single minuscule, and I'm taking one step forward, I'm moving to the left now, I'm moving to the right. It's like, for God's sake, just shut up and tell me what's going on. And I think that's another bigger picture about Halo 3. You have to have a good vocal leader, but you have to make sure that every single call that you're doing actually means something and it's not just shouting trash into other people's headphones.
When Tox were playing their opening games, obviously they had a little bit of a crowd around them. People wanted to see how Tox were doing, and I heard a few comments saying, listen to how quiet they are. And that's right, if you have that calm communication, then you are usually going to find yourself in a better situation where you can hear everything. But that being said, there are teams who do thrive with louder communication, with hectic communication, because it gets them pumped up, it gives them energy, and they get excited. Yeah, they're probably not going to have as much fun in terms of actually finding things and getting that communication and finding those people who are creeping behind them. But it does get them pumped up individually, and they will be hitting their shots just because that adrenaline that goes through them. And just going back to that P3 comment as well, if you're going up against a team who does communicate well, you can't really sit on P3 because you'll just be lasered down immediately.
Get shut down, right?
But you're going up against a team who maybe aren't as good, who don't have the communication, then P3 can just be destructive, and you can actually destroy a team because they don't take you off of P3. You can then communicate everything, you can lay down those shots, and your position is really going to struggle.
10 kill lead on the side of Improv. Hopefully they can keep it up. Keep on advancing forward. There's two inside the bases. They'll be able to lock them down, make an advancement from Carbine side. P looks clear, so you'd expect Squashy to try and take control of it. Pin them in, don't let them out of the base, lock them down, keep them on the spot. If it's one thing that I've always said and always stood by, a big disparity from European teams to North American teams, it's the spawn control, both throughout Halo 2 and Halo 3. The way they can manipulate the spawns, control them, and lock teams basically dead to rights time and time again and just slay them wave after wave. Spawn control on these games is so critical, and I think it's something that, you know, with no disrespect to European players, that we've certainly not mastered as much as what the North American have.
Yeah, and that can come down to practice and the amount of teams who are actually trying to spawn control as well. I mean, I would say there's maybe 4 or 5 teams throughout Europe that actually know how to do it properly, and if you don't have the consistency to be able to practice it game in and game out, you almost become a little bit lazy, and you just think you can run around and get kills, whereas the North American teams are usually very much more well-practiced. There's only 3 kills needed for Improv here, and this is going to be a little bit of an upset in game number 2.
Yeah, decent game from here. Just make sure they don't feed over and over again. On the previous round, I saw Looney, I think he threw about a negative 15. We'll see what his stats are like after this one. Certainly in the back of your mind, it's a bit detrimental. Warlord goes down, so that'll be another one added to the list here. Horgan is just looking. We'll see on the opposing base. They are coming off the respawn on that car side. They will flood probably P1. There's the kill. Job done. And for Improv, that's a good game. We'll take a look at the stats, 39 to 50. Decent lead that, and it'll be a good confidence boost rolling into game number 3.
I've just realised that is Impact. Didums is Impact. That's literally just a game attack change as well. It's just, I've just seen his face and clocked him. I mean, that is literally, he used to play Halo 3. I used to play with him and against him, so it's great to see some of these returning faces. But they changed the game attacks.
Was that an admin taking a photo with the stats, or was that like someone in the back, like, you know what, I want a photo with these? Oh, it is an admin, okay. I thought it was at first, you know, maybe just like, look what I did on LAN. I just beat MOCKIT. I used to do it. But then again, I'd get about 4 kills and be extremely happy with it.
Why do you ruin my fun and not allow me to insult you first? Why do you have to insult yourself?
Because
that's not fun.
You give me my lowest placement in my career. It was a good job, because you also gave me my career. And I just take that away from you instantly.
Yeah, it's not. I wasn't going to mention it, actually, the fact that I beat you on LAN at your last LAN event, and you finished, what, top 24, was it?
Well, this is the thing. There was there was 23 teams, so in theory you can't come 24th.
True. So you finished top 23, is that what you're trying to say?
I beat a team.
Right.
I can't remember which team it was, but I certainly beat one rather easily. So in theory you could say I came 22nd.
All right, we'll give Sims 20 seconds then, just to keep him smiling, and just because his son's here, and we don't want to.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, we don't want to make him feel too bad today.
No.
All right, Construct King of the Hill, game number 3 then. And actually, I'm struggling to call which way this is going to go now, Rich. I was thinking that MOCKIT were going to wipe the floor with Improv in this series, but that Heretic Slayer and the Onslaught Capture the Flag, Improv have showed real presence on these maps. They actually know how to work their way around spawns and stuff, so I'm excited for this game 3.
We spoke about game number 1 on Onslaught, CTFO. It can be that bounce-back game. It can be very reboundy if you don't watch your corners and check what's going down and let the communication just run away with itself. With King of the Hill, it can be almost identical. Rather than a comeback, you can completely just lose this by... There's 2 options to which you want to do here. You can go for the Slayers. You can... On this, generally speaking, yes, you will be in the driving seat if you do control the upper areas of this map. But there are potential ways to win this by just throwing your body in time and time again. Just constantly throwing yourself in there, suiciding into the middle. And a few kills here and there on King of the Hill can change everything. It's a bizarre game. You can play it 2 ways. You can either just play objective continuously or just slay them down to the very last morsel where they simply cannot get any time inside the hill whatsoever.
You just need to have some communication there with your team. If you are going to play it hectic, if you are going to be jumping in the hill, at least communicate that with the rest of the guys so they can either watch you or they can finish off what you don't actually manage to actually get a kill when you do drop into a hill, or that they can back you up and support you and you can push with multiple people. Because if you're not on the same level, and if some people are pushing in aggressively, some people aren't, then it can be very messy and your opponent can really take advantage of that. So you just have to be careful and ensure that actually everyone's doing the same thing.
I was about to give him credit because he switched out the rockets, took down the one-shot player. Moody does stay alive for all but a second, but he's cleaned up, so the communication certainly is there. Enemies inside the hill, they need to be aware, so they'll bombard initially with the frags, they'll go out, they can do the follow-up. Hopefully they get these weak, there'll be no hit markers, they will not know if they're weak or not, or even if they've been tagged. You need to use your eyes, you need to use your ears, make sure the communication is there. They took down several players, I think there's 3 down at the moment. They will follow up with the hill. 1 player's above them. I'll watch top mid for now. And again, death from above, time and time again, you'll just see people on the rocket ramp bombarding this area, jumping down, picking up the time where possible. You can play a very messy game. We spoke about Warlord's playstyle, for instance, very FFA. Individually, you can just... You don't want to do it because it is all about teamwork, and North American sides, for instance, Toxia, they'll just completely take full advantage of that if you are playing extremely messy. But there are ways to do this. Just go off and do your own thing, get some kills. Didn't thought the player was a little bit closer than he was, so the melee will not find contact. They do trade out for this. Remember, there is camo downstairs. Rockets, sniper rifle. Don't see too many, apart from when you, obviously there is a bottom middle hill, the sniper rifle come into play as much as what you would on for a Slayer, for example.
Yeah, it's just because it's very difficult to get into those positions sometimes, and you are often pushed by players who are very aggressive who want to win that back. But I think the important factor, if you are an individual player and you are going to be running around trying to get kills, you need to make sure you're going to be spawning your teammates in good positions, because if you find yourself in dangerous areas, then you're going to be spawning your teammates in ugly positions, and then that will be very detrimental to your team.
So like what he's done here, grab the snipe, rotate straight up. Now he can watch the streets. Whirl, free nade, and again we spoke about people just lobbing them willy-nilly. One has come back his way, so he has the information. There is a player lurking at this. He'll find 2. There's the initial one. Go for the no-scope. Hit it, Stuart. Hit it. Oh, you let me down. Sniper rifle transfer, but not for too long. They will keep control of this top middle area. Sniper didn't get too much work done. You can use it to your advantage here, especially if you're going to watch back gold for the jumpers. You need to be careful of the spines. People can wander up this, and then unfortunately, before you know it, they're just flooding sword area. The opposing side of the ramp, so the communication should come through. Tries to hit him through the dust of the grenade. Warlord shoot. Yeah, you see, that's a shot, for example, and I'm not, this isn't in a negative fashion whatsoever, but online you get away with that. You'd be able to just fade away from there. The bullet wouldn't tack you up. But on LAN, even if you just skim someone's head with no shield, they're dead. Every single time, they're dead.
That's the lesson you learn on LAN, and especially those players who are used to getting away. They do have that very steep learning curve, and unfortunately he's not able to get away with that one, and Kennen is putting himself in a decent position here to stop the hill. The overshield will be popping soon as well, so I'm sure everyone's going to transition down to bottom middle to try and pick that one up, because it's going to be very helpful, even with a 30-kill lead, and there it is for Warlord as well. So he is here, there, and everywhere, and now he's got an overshield, which makes him a very scary man to be on the map.
think it's a camo earlier, I didn't know. Excuse me. Thank you for not correcting me. I appreciate that. I'll just correct myself instead, it's fine. How much work did he actually get done with that then? Did he stay alive through it? Didn't quite catch the kill feed.
No, he was taken out.
Oh, that's not too much use out of it then. It is a very, OS when you look to it, like a powerful pushing tool. Probably more so than Rockets. Rockets are good for clearing out top mid. And if you want to keep control of top mid rather than even clearing it out, you just have someone lingering around here, holding them so the opposing team A can't make use of them, or B, just being a nuisance, being a point where it's like, okay, Rocket guy's lurking, let's not push there. Then you force them into other avenues of approach. And if your team are all lined up, I like the Rockets as a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? A scare tool, because you just lurk and you just dominate. You're a bouncer of a nightclub. You own upstairs, no one else is getting in, you can just keep them at bay and push them back. Let your teammates control the hill. But then the other avenues of approach, if you can overwatch that and just keep an eye line on them, sniper rifle, for example, if you can get that up to top, have the Rocket guy lingering top mid, keep control of it, it kind of works. What are you laughing at?
I've missed your analysis, and like a bouncer of a nightclub who owns up top. How many bouncers do you know that actually owns the nightclub? That's the real question.
How many bouncers do you know that own a rocket launcher?
Okay, point.
Yeah, you haven't been to Manchester or Leeds. Clearly.
But the thing is with both Overshield and Rockets is they are great distraction techniques as well. If you know that you are struggling a little bit, you haven't got any map control, but an Overshield is going to be popping soon, you can just say, all right, look, let's let them have the map. Either they're going to do one of two things. They're going to come down and they're going to try and get this Overshield, or they're going to give us the Overshield. So you just have to try and spread your game out a little bit and just really work around these timings of Rockets and Overshield. Of course, you have to keep on top of those timings as well. And as we get to this time at 9 minutes, we're going to be seeing Rockets and Overshield spawning at pretty much the same time, depending on when they were picked up. Warlord gets the Overshield, and depending on when the Rockets were picked up, maybe whether they were dirtied, he can now go up top and look at those Rockets and maybe grab those as well as the Overshield.
You'd assume the reason he got this was because he had the last one, so he'll be on the time. If the opposing team of Improv don't know the time of if it was picked up late or whenever, CR1 will get up top with Rocks. And again, you can see already he's backing off from this. And this is what I was trying to speak about earlier on. You know the Rocket guy has a presence somewhere here, and you know you have to be careful. Rotations there. Oh, well, that ain't bad. I don't know how he got away with that one, but the tank up the OS guy. Organs doesn't look at this, so I have to question there. Where was the teamwork? Because Warlord's been hit by a rocket, so that should be called out. There is Rocket guy now in top gold. Top mid, take him down. He's no shields. He doesn't, he survives. Little things like that. Now and again, when you can just get away, being one shot, you kind of have to question it. There's a million and one things going on those comms, so you know anything can happen at the end of the day. It's just me being over analytical.
Well, no, that's why players like APG, for example, are the best players in the world, because they can transition from one player to another so simply and be able to pull off a double kill there, because he may have walked into lobby there and he would have got the call out. He would have looked left first. Even though he was headhunting that one particular player, he would have said, okay, that player's running away from me. I don't need to chase him. I don't need to finish him. Let's focus on the guy with rockets to my left. And then after getting that kill, you can transition to the other player that was running away from you. Yes, they might get away, but who would you rather get away? Someone with a battle rifle or someone with a rocket launcher?
Looney with the overpeak. I like that. It's very brazen, it's very ballsy, but he gets away with it. Snipes out, job done, stays alive for now. They can take control of top mid. Squashy will watch back gold for the approach, then if pre-nades will go down, you bank them off that back wall. If anyone jumps up, they get tanked, but remember, sword spines. Anyone wants to be jumping up them and going for a cheeky run? It is a pretty decent route. Daz. Oh, that's two tagged up. OS is there, takes him down. Diddums does pick it up. It's a really good push. I kind of like it to try and lock it down. Okay, the ideology was there. Didn't quite work out because I don't think he realized there were so many people. 3 players actually making an aggressive push onto OS, and it kind of just shows really how much they wanted it.
Yeah, Improv sacrificed quite a lot of hill time for it though, and have allowed MOCKIT to get back into the game. But at the same time, MOCKIT did have the top control, so I think Improv just looked at the situation of the game where they stood and said, all right, let's get this overshield. Warlord's had it twice now, so let's ensure that he doesn't. They didn't get it, but they stopped Warlord from getting it again. They stopped MOCKIT from having that constant overshield control, and now they have an exact timing as well. So when that next one comes up, which is going to be a very important one too, they're going to have more of an idea of when it's going to be popping. Rocket's going to be coming up shortly as well, so now we'll need to see most people transitioning to top middle as well as looking down at this hill.
But both teams have the exact timing now, so we might see the same engagement again, or we might see something else. We'll say, okay, maybe we commit 2 players to a different location, stop any advancement with the OS as a backup plan, the emergency kind of backup should that OS guy get away from it. It's okay, we'll lock down top mid, for example, we'll watch both lifts. Hopefully if they do try to make an advancement, we get a back whack, a grenade, anything to stick, just to try and remove him from the game. At the moment there was nothing that could be done really off the back of that. We didn't see too much in advancement. Fresh rocks are up though. Kenneth takes control. 2 players here. Sword Spine straight up the back of them. That's a double kill for Looney. Rockets 4 loaded. 2 in the chamber. There's the first one. Oh, don't get shut down here, Daz. That'd be dangerous.
Doesn't need to challenge him there. Just picking up some big kills and somehow surviving there is massive for them. And now MOCKIT starting to gain a little bit of a lead, which is interesting because MOCKIT were gaining the overshields and stuff early on, but were behind by 40, 50 points. And then Improv were like, oh, we need to start getting the overshields, we need to start getting the rockets. And now they've lost that lead. So it almost seems like both teams struggling to focus on the hill as well as those power-ups and power weapons. But this works out nicely for MOCKIT. They allowed Improv to pick up the rockets and they just go up, they win the battles, and they get rockets as a reward.
It's just like any game, right? A little bit of momentum can do so much for going forward. Not only he picks up the fresh rockets, yes, he lost them, but the timing was perfect for the OS. So from 1 power weapon to 1 power up, be very cautious here.
Yeah,
the guy at goal, yeah, I was hoping they're going to get stuck in a little bit more, to be honest. I'll go and watch the opposing P should they make a jump into it. He's spawning him away. Okay, you're spawning your players up top, and maybe there is communication there to... This is surprisingly working out for him.
Yeah, he does pick up the kill onto Warlord, and he actually gets a double kill of another player just on close street as well. So it has worked out okay. I think he probably did get the call out from his team saying, look, you don't need to push towards the hill. We've got this under control. Just focus on holding that open side, and then maybe we'll be able to sort something out over this side. So it's worked out okay.
That's just a personal preference.
Yeah.
Get the OS, stick him in the hill. He can survive more grenades. I mean, so far with the last 2 minutes, the guy's gone through rockets, OS, and now onto a sniper that was gifted to him by Warlord. We'll keep a check on this P. I'm okay with that. Pre-nades are down. Looks like they've nipped up from bottom middle though. They have advanced upwards. Check on rocket ramp. Warlord doesn't get the pin down. Does he get the 4? He doesn't quite get the 4, but at least gets the kill. That's 3 down on the side of MOCKIT. And now they're going to be a little bit worried because that timer is starting to get a little bit close towards the end of the game.
And this is where you start to get nervy and you start to make silly pushes as well. Looney pushing on his own throughout Sword, and there comes Organs on his own up P. Actually, he's not on his own.
Do him.
Not quite enough, but that's better from MOCKIT. At least they sent 2 up the P. I was worried it was going to be 1 by 1, but it hasn't worked out because Improv have just situated themselves quite perfectly, to be honest, in terms of a setup here.
Still more than enough. That 1 push shuts it down. They can overwatch, and now they just call out where they're spawning, where they are. At this point in the game, it'd take a bit of a miracle. They would have to slay to the best of their human abilities, because you can just keep suiciding this hill time and time again, over and over again. Don't show up the OS guy. Grenade down, will do damage. It's ripped up his back. He's now going in blind. Should have full shields at least to make the avenue of approach cleanly.
It's very hard to get consistent time in this bottom hill, and I think that's what you're alluding to by the fact that MOCKIT are really going to struggle now, because they're only going to get 1 minute left in this game of actual solid hill time up top. So it means that Improv can actually just have fun, just go for kills at this point and say, look, we just need to hold off for a little bit. We can rack up some messy hill time, and we should be able to get the victory.
I'm no good at maths, so I'm not going to do it live on air, but there does come a point in this game when you look towards what's left on the timer and what you've actually got left on points where it's physically impossible to be able to make a comeback. They will muster all they have left in the barrel. If there was any signs of a comeback, they'd have to do it now. Lead every single second in the hill. Kenneth trying to make a bit of a tag.
I mean, as long as they can keep it within 60 points going into that final hill, there is still a possibility. And maybe Improv will consider that and say, actually, look, guys, we don't need to pressure them too much. Let's just keep them out of the hill. We don't need to drop. We don't need to win it on this one. Keep them out of the hill. Let's wait up top, control top middle, and then we can just grab those last few points. But that is always a risky strategy to go for, because you can be punished, and we do see MOCKIT just racking up a couple of seconds, and it is going to put them in contention in this final hill. But are they going to be able to get the top middle control with the transition from bottom middle?
I like how you touched on it. It felt like that was the idea from MOCKIT. They were doing the same read. Let's try and get up top mid. Rather than approaching from top middle, just wait for the next rotation of the hill. And instead, we keep going on in and diving on in head first. 169 points from one individual player. When you've got someone who's just running objective like that, doesn't mind doing the dirty work continuously over and over again, just throwing the bodies into the hill, picking up the time, it can become a bit of a nuisance, especially on the opposing side when you're trying to rack something up and get some teamwork. It's like, oh, well, we can't slay out again, we can't make an advanced push again because someone's continuously in this hill just chomping at the bit, gnawing behind us. It's really frustrating. As a player, it's really, really annoying.
And statistically, we saw some decent stuff from Day, in particular from Kenneth. He did pretty well, going plus 12 there. I mean, it was him who had the overshield late on in that game, and he was kind of holding off a little bit, wasn't getting too aggressive, he was waiting, he was patient, and he held his position, which is sometimes a difficult thing to do in Halo 3 because you can be punished for it if they don't push up your P, for example, but he held strong, he was rewarded with a lot of his positioning, and his scoreline and his stats show, and he was able to get a little bit of hill time as well to boot. And now we're going to see whether we can see a comeback from MOCKIT in this series, or are Improv actually just going to be able to transition into this Game 4, which is a narrows capture the flag and carry the momentum through. The communication of Improv, obviously we can't hear it right now, but I can see it physically in their gameplay, especially towards the end of that game, how they waited patiently, they didn't just get flustered and start rushing the hill to try and finish the game off. They held top mid. As soon as they saw a moment, as soon as they saw a gap and an opening, they all dived in on the hill to finish the game off. So they're doing very minor things that actually some of the best teams in the world actually do.
I've been travelling today. Have we seen a best of five, game 5 yet?
We have seen it. No, we haven't. We had a 3-1 and 2 3-0s. We haven't seen a game 5 yet. We've seen game 4s. Not a game 5.
Okay, so there's been a couple of close ones. Fair play. Maybe this could be the one. Potential to see a game 5. I mean, MOCKIT, you know, we've been saying for a while, we know who they are. We know they've been good in Halo 5 and some nasty stuff. But I'll be tipping my hat to Improv. I feel like they are rolling back the years and energizing, grabbing the energy of Instinct here, because that logo just reminds me every time I see it. Time I keep seeing it. That's all I can see is Instinct, minus the little monster in the background just hiding away in the bushes. That's all I can see. I don't know about you.
No, I agree. Have you seen First Boss's logo yet, by the way?
Oh, God.
You can imagine. If you haven't seen it, you can imagine.
Well, I saw the name and I didn't see it as first, put it that way. I thought it was something else at first.
That's, let's say that's what their logo and their names have followed as well. We're
okay.
Almost paying homage to the old Final Boss side.
Is it homage, though?
Well, maybe.
Would Strongside be happy if he saw it?
Strongside's very rarely happy anyway,
He
so
never is.
that one's a hard one to judge.
Well, he is. He's constantly on holiday.
This is true. So maybe he is always happy.
He's always happy.
Permanently happy. That's why when we get him at events, he's not happy because he's not on holiday.
There is that, I suppose. So you're saying that he's only miserable when he's with us?
Pretty much. We're just terrible friends. And
sorry, Mike.
this was the final moments of the game, and this is what I was on about. They finally saw that gap and that opening, so they all dived into the hill and made sure they could actually win the game there. So good communication from them.
Good job so far. There is potential here for a game number 5. We will be moving into a game number 4, Narrows CTF. Narrows is a fun one. It's something that I've missed for a long, long time. Having a map with dual snipers and something that's so long and you can just bang people at range from top mid time and time again. What are you laughing at?
I've just missed you. You can bang people from range. I've just missed your accent a little bit, Rich.
The best part of this map is getting people on spawn, either between man cannon or flag. If you can just rip people's faces off on spawn so they can't even leave the footholds of the base, have someone already prepared to move the flag, it's a beautiful thing. And when you have Tox that have Snipe Down playing for them this event, I would expect to be seeing that from the likes of that team, because the map... Whoa, go on, son. Warlord can snipe, a man who can. Tags up the third. The tag is there, but not the frag. Josh goes down to the information. How weak is this player? It should have been communicated back. I didn't see no flashing of the shield, so now he has to defend himself. Goes into the corner, waits for the next wave to come through of spawners. I like the fact he's not getting overzealous here, he's not rushing top mid. A few players would be like, oh, I'm going to go get 10 kills. Then die, transfer the sniper. Reticle goes red, so he has the info there is. Someone in L2 for now. Sweep snipes, hits 1 out of 3, not too bad. Does pick him up with the PR. And at the moment, he's doing well individually, but the rest of his team are just dying wave after wave down.
I mean, you say he's doing well individually, but he did miss 3 or 4 relatively easy shots for a top sniper, I would say. So there is a difference you can make. There's a lot of responsibility you have when you do have a sniper rifle on narrow CTF, though. You need to be hitting shots. Even if it's not a headshot, get a body shot, because that is going to force your opponent to retreat, or it's going to give you a chance for your teammates to actually finish off those kills. So sometimes you're not even looking for headshots. I know it seems unnatural because you want to go for that instant kill, but if you see a body, just tag him in the chest, go for that biggest point on their body, as unfortunately Looney, even though he does survive, C1I couldn't quite get the shot off, but I think he had help from his teammates.
Pre-nades it down, doesn't actually find anybody. They'll make a quick movement on this one. Does catch people spawning on the back. Interesting place to put the sniper. It should, in this scenario, when you've got bodies already in there, be top mid. Good rotation. I like this, the communication's there. Teammates clearly going through. Will advance to their base now. You go top mid. Keep a bird's eye view on what's going down. Feed the info back. Does need to get a few kills though before they make an advancement on this one. So it's a dead flag for now. They only lose one during that entire transition for about 20 seconds. So that's fine. No stupid or ballsy players that's going to cost them this sniper rifle. I don't think there's too many bullets in it. No, only 2. So it's not too bad if you do give it up and lose it to the opposing team. Yes, nothing much was made of it, but certainly didn't give anything else away.
It's also one of the difficult maps, Narrows, to actually get a clean flag run as well. You do have to have a pretty good setup because of the spawns and how easy it can be with some of these angles with grenades to just stop that flag being pulled. And if you're not in the right areas of the right map as well, that flag can find its way off the map. So you do have to be careful, especially if you're going to be running it bottom middle, which is usually the choice of route for those flag runs. But at the moment, neither team are even being able to get the flag out of the base just because they've been so evenly contested on Slays so far.
Fresh snipes up. Looney through the respawn. We'll stick with him for now. Daz individually, decent player. Yongo looking for a little bit more than Halo 3. We'll see how far he can go in this one. Otherwise, this will be a loss for them, unfortunately, if they don't pick up this game. Horgans with snipe. Looking down bottom mid, defending the rocket guy. That's fine. Look over his shoulder, make sure he can't get tanked up from the opposing sniper spawn. But now he needs to get an eye on the base. Look for the spawners. Look through the back. Where are these players? Don't just sit back and hang back. Rocket comes flying through. C1R is forced to move. The slight adjustments there to just check bottom mid. I'm okay with that. Make sure no one's flooding through. It could have been a decent snipe had he have had the info. I like this position though. Straight off the cannon, get the info. Doesn't get the body tag, but that's fine. Bullet comes flying through on the opposing side, so now you know that sniper is lingering here. He's lurking. Be aware, you've got the info. You've heard it, you've seen it. Just jumps over the afro top mid, skims his head. I don't think he's... In fact, Organs, okay, so he's been called out. He's down. So their opposing sniper's gone. Now they can pick it up. He either grab the bullets, or they have a dual sniper setup here.
Yeah, they could have 2 snipers if it didn't go off the map, but sometimes you don't want 2 snipers. It can be great if you have players who are hitting the shots and you can get them on the spawn trap, fantastic. But no one's currently in the base. So you can see Improv, they're waiting, and they're going to wait for the spawns now from MOCKIT. Get 1 or 2 kills, and then that's when you push in, wrap around, and try and get in behind some of these players. Warlord, fortunately, can't get away.
You okay, Stu?
Yeah, looked quite funny the way he just
I think he
around.
expected to die as well, to be fair. Backboard spawns, no tags. That one will connect, at least, so force them back. Not really done too much. Go for the no-scope. Don't bail on it. Go for the no-scope. Everyone loves to see a man cannon no-scope.
Wonderboy would go for the no-scope.
It's because Wonderboy can't play Halo.
You haven't seen the things I've seen as of late, Richard.
I beat him in Halo 5, that's all that matters.
Well, you had to beat someone, I guess. At least you can hold
I'll
back
beat you after this.
Okay.
Double kill comes through. Daz looking for a trip. It's there. It doesn't get tagged, though. There could be an advancement here. Josh will get the corner pull, and that's fine. They at least get him down for now so they can bombard this one, but it is quite close for Diddums. He's actually got other ideas. I'm okay with that. Don't just go throwing your body needlessly at a flag. Yes, it is still 0-0. There is no real map control here for either side. It's a bit of a push and pull scenario, but I'm fine with that.
Yeah, there was no real opportunity for them to get that flag just because of the position it was in after having those couple of deaths. So just using it as a damage control situation and saying, right, they're probably going to attempt to pull that flag, our flag, if they get a couple of kills. So let's just hold down our flag lobby, ensure that they don't get a flag pull. Maybe we'll pick up a kill, and then we can move out together. That's one of the most important things on Narrows, is pushing out of the base together. If you do it individually, you can find yourself in a very tricky situation top middle, and you do want to be getting top middle as well. Very important, so you can do things like that and get control and lay down fire.
Well, this is the thing. The flag's running bottom middle, so he will take control of this. I'm surprised he's looking over here and not bottom mid. That's a questionable one for me. I mean, fair enough, the communication might have been there. Don't worry, I'm all the way across the map.
See you later, friend.
Yep, job done. Does get his teammate, but that's fine. They got it in regardless. He could have been a bit more defensive, a bit more passive on that one. But they make it work regardless, and Improv, they go up 1-0. It's taken a bit of time to get this flag in for either side. Rocket's top mid, not sure how many's left in. Reloads there for the sniper. Opts to go for the BR kill, fine. T2 will be happy with this combo. Sniper Rocket's in hand. What are you going to do with it? Give one of them up, go on. Be a good guy. There you go, he's looking for a BR. There you go, friend, take Rockets. Look at that, that's a good friend.
That's what you need. There's no point just holding on to the most important power weapons and then potentially going down. Did he see? Oh, well, luckily see when I was there, because otherwise Ben had no idea that there was someone lurking, and that could have been him saying goodbye to the Rockets.
He actually didn't shoot for a while, did he? He must have been trying to just hide away for then. That could have been sneaky. Does shut it down at least. I'm glad you spotted it as well, Dan. Looks across the opposing flag. Anyone going to spawn? Probably not. Kenneth will be calling for help and support. He does go down, backs off. That's fine. Don't bother going and dying. Spots Looney. Sniper versus sniper, tags him up in the chest. So there is a return fire. Bullet doesn't connect, and now they know exactly where each other are. They felt this scenario. They will go up. Be careful. You do know the sniper's there, but he is getting completely overwhelmed here. They flood the base. There's going to be 2, maybe even 3 people potentially in this one. Where do you go from this scenario? They're down. They're running the flag underneath, and they're all players down low.
I feel like Diddums might have got a top middle spawn there as well, you know. I think they might have blocked too much, and that flag is going to be returned, unfortunately. I don't know really what happened with that setup.
Bizarre.
I think maybe there were too many people in the base for MOCKIT, and they hadn't got enough people top middle to stop that push from happening. But great stuff from Diddums. Whether he spawned there or whether he actually made that play to get around behind, he still was able to secure that kill, and that's the big part of it.
It's madness watching this team BR. God, it hurts. You go up against one individual, the 2 players are just staring at them, it just completely batters you. Oh, well.
Lead your shots.
Yeah. That's not a problem for Warlord. With a wonderful player. Takes him down at least on the transfer, so he's across on the opposing side. This could be big. This could be rather big. They've got it across Looney. Last chance to dance. Can you make a stop on this one? Yes, he can. Grenades go in. Will they get the follow-up? Josh is there. Looney, you got to hit the shot of your life, my friend, to stop this one. Does he actually get it?
Yeah, it was stopped, it was returned, and that's a great return as well. You saw how desperately Improv were trying to get that flag back, and they were trying to train it between 2 or 3 of them. There was one player who dipped into the power-up. I would have liked to see him just throw that flag a little bit earlier, because it meant his teammate on the flag it faced more fire than he should have. They could have gone 2-0 up there if he had been a little bit more committing to actually just trying to toss that flag onto the spot. But I can understand it. You have a natural survival instinct sometimes when you're playing Halo. When you're getting railed by that much, you think, oh, if I dip down here, I can hide and maybe I can regain shields. But unfortunately, he was being shot from the other side of the map and he cannot hide.
In that scenario as well, if you're looking at a player who's just like, give me the ball, I'm open, I'm free. It's like, well, if I die anyway, he's going to get this and he's going to cap it. It's just one of those misreads where you don't realise how open this map is in that single scenario. They do shut it down, so it is a good return. Still 1-0 though. Pressure on for MOCKIT. Not too much time to be able to get this one done as well. Another one in the bag. Extend your life for a little bit. We're able to keep on going. Flag begins to move. Instant player goes down. Good trade out here for the Rockets that at least push this one forward. Now he could be behind enemy lines. Sees the player just scampering off in the distance using the man cannon. Even I'm surprised that Looney's not finding anyone to it from there. I think even he's shocked. One player finally top mid. Been duking each other out. Will go down. There is a second follow-up. Doesn't get the final death rocket off. So that'll be transferred across unless he does go down. There is a potential transfer below, so maybe, just maybe, Benjamin's here. Straight into enemy territory. 3 rockets, potential 3 kills.
This is going to shake up the group a little bit. If Improv can actually hold on to this and secure this victory, that will put them at 2-0 in the Swiss, which will mean they only need to win 1 more game to actually guarantee them getting through. But the next game would probably be against RBL Esports, who are, of course, Respectful's team, who are in this group, who I'm sure will be at 2-0 as well. But then when they fall to, well, sorry, if they were to fall to 2-1, then they would then play another team who is at 2-1. So that could be Hyperboom Esports, for example. It could be that they have to face like a team again. You never really know what might happen in the Swiss space.
As we did move on board with Sniper's POV, he had just picked up a snipe, so I'd assume that was off the spawn, which is why they were allowed to run that clean, to be fair. Really no aggression whatsoever, lock them down. And sometimes you think, why is the Rocket guy running flag? Well, I'll tell you why, because sometimes when you just grab that flag initially, if you know where they're going to be down on snipe where it spawns, if they're just going to run at you, you can throw that thing at them. You have an emergency backup rocket, it's like, not a problem. I can just drop flag, launch the rocket, kill them, and continue the movement. So a very good aggressive stance there, and then to sit back on the snipe with the sniper rifle as well and just pick them off on spawn. It's clean. You love to see it. Very nice, clean flag, Cap.
Yeah, and only 3 minutes and 23 seconds left for MOCKIT to get back into this and stop themselves from going 1-1 in the Swiss. And their actual one victory was from a bye as well. So looking at this group, and we were saying maybe MOCKIT were going to be going through, but there's always potential they could be eliminated from this group if they're going to have results like this one. And now you're in a situation as Improv is you can play this game two ways. You can either just play very defensively, you can turtle up, you can just get some kills, but that does often invite pressure, or you can just carry on the aggression, pull some flags, cause a nuisance, and you should be able to breeze through.
Absolutely no BM here. This is a genuine question. Because of what you can't do in Halo 3, and because we knew how good some of these players, like Squashy, like Looney, were in Halo 5, do you think they're going to get a bit of a shock coming into an event like this with Halo 3? Because it's not even from online to LAN. Even that in itself is a different game.
I think, I'm going to say it again, because of the Halo 5 2v2, I think they might have dropped off a little bit with their Halo 3 practice.
Okay,
I think if they weren't participating, or if they weren't planning on participating in the Halo 5 2v2, I can't confirm or deny whether they actually are, I think they would have put more time into Halo 3, and I think they're good enough Halo players that they would have been absolutely fine with that transition, just because of natural talent. But if they haven't practiced as much and they're going up against teams who do have more practice, then yeah, I think they're going to feel the difference from the movement of Halo 3 and Halo 5. Because if they've been predominantly playing Halo 5 in the thoughts of practicing, then everything's going to be feeling a little bit different. The BR is going to feel different to the pistol, for example. When you're running a flag and you don't have a Magnum to actually help yourself out, like, all these little things are going to be different. They are good enough to actually still play around and make a good game of it, but practice makes perfect, and that's why we're seeing Improv performing well here.
And if people wonder why I am not dogging on it or banking on it a little bit, we are one of the very few esports where we transition back to a different game, and that's because, oh, don't do that, that's cool. Transition back to an older iteration of the game. It's something that we don't really see in any other esports, but we know with MCC coming out on PC and these, honestly, I think it's going to, the playlists are going to be flooded not only with new players but with old players who grew up on this, because I don't care who you are, where you are, what you've done, where you come from. Everybody knows Halo, and so many people, so many professional players, both now on console, on other games, on PC. They've been there, they've done that, they've played during the golden era. Lots of people have watched Final Boss, Straight Ripper, Carbon, you know, all the names that keep flooding through. And speaking of flooding through, that will be the third and final cap. So Improv, damn, that's a 3-1 victory.
Yeah, no improvisation needed from them throughout this series. They seemed very well structured indeed, and yes, okay, there was a little bit of a battle early on from MOCKIT, and they certainly didn't make it easy, but Improv putting themselves in a very good situation to be getting out of this group. They are now 2-0 in the Swiss. They need 3 wins to guarantee themselves through, and maybe they could be one of the 2 teams that actually goes into the winners bracket if they carry on playing like this.
2 RBs and decent stats on him, saying a pos 18 on the opposing side. Plenty of snipes in the bag as well. Fair amount of negativity on the opposing side. I don't mean mentality, I mean in kills. That's about a 32, I think, if my maths is correct on the spot. Negative ratio combined. 35 kills, though, to boot. Not a bad job at all.
And no negative reactions, though, from the boys of MOCKIT. You saw the cameras, yeah, like all smiles. I mean, most players nowadays are all friends. I mean, we had rivalries in the past, and we have seen them recent rivalries as well, but I don't know if we're going to see that many rivalries this tournament in this kind of game. When we get to the end of the tournament and we get to like the top 6 teams, I think there's a little bit of rivalries that are brewing, because there's a lot of ex-teammates who are now on different teams.
I saw Respectful and Riots giving each other some abuse last week.
Oh yeah, that happened on Twitter.
That went down, didn't it? Yep. So I think if those 2 teams go up against one another, that'll be quite loud and proud.
And quite likely to happen as well. 2 teams who should be reaching the last stages of this tournament.
Need to make sure that that's on stream as well.
Yes, if it does happen.
Have I seen Talik here?
Yes, I think Talik's coasting. Coasting? He's coasting and coaching. Yeah.
Oh God, I hope Septic doesn't see him.
Oh no, that'll bring back bad memories, won't it? Sin. No, he's just down as Rob S, actually, at this event.
You can't be called RS. You can't have those initials when I'm here.
Well, no, he's called Rob S. Your name is Richard. not Robert.
Yeah, but it starts with an R and it ends in it starts with an S.
Indeed. But this was a really good game from Improv, actually, especially the sniper movement from C1R, just as he's on screen right now. The angles he positioned himself in were phenomenal. You can tell he's played with a sniper rifle a lot on narrows because he was rotating well and he wasn't giving it up easily, and he was always prepared to throw it off the map too.
Didums was a decent sniper. There were several times on his POV and he was already watching for the spawners, get them in the entrapment. I think one of those, and I spoke about it, from the very clean capture was down to him. We switched to his POV, we could already see the headshot medal was there and done, so picking them off as they come out of the blue screen of death. Unfortunately, it will be MOCKIT's enter in this game, but certainly not the end of the run. This is only a group stage, remember. We do have the double elimination tomorrow. You just need to make sure that with these pools, A through D, you end in the top 3. It's better if you end in the top 2 because that means you go into the upper echelon of the bracket. If you end in 3rd place, you do survive the Championship Sunday, but unfortunately with no extra lives.
Yeah, MOCKIT might end up with an easier game now going into being 1-1, so they will play someone else who's 1-1 as well. That's how the Swiss works. However, it might be a very tough game on the other side for their opposition because they're probably going to have to play against Respectful's team, and Respectful's team should be able to go on and win 3-0 and then be able to progress to the winners bracket.
There are some, and again, no disrespect, there's some really nasty rosters here when we talk about European Halo, like individual players that we've seen playing for a long time. And this is the whole thing about an open event. Like that team, for example, on Improv, not necessarily, I've seen the players in the playlist. There's a lot of them here that we'll see. People generally who are playing Halo 3 now have been there from the start and continuing forward on Xbox Live. But it's nice to see them come out. And it's like, okay, well, we thought MOCKIT were going to win that one. But no, we're wrong, you know? And it's just, I just love open events. You see these names that come up through the ranks. Hell, I always remember Jimbo from the event that I got tanked on, for example. That was his first event, seeing him come top 8 in FFA and then seeing what he's done from there. Same with Respectful, back on the forums where he used to be just a bit of a meme as was it Rolling Stones, Brandon Stones, something? I can't remember. But yeah, we've had a lot of banter, and it's good to see some of the Kimmy, even Zyrus, seeing him again. Like, it's so good to see the old guard come out for these events, and even for some American rosters to make their way over as well.
Yeah, very exciting, and plenty of matches coming your way as well. We are going to go for a very quick break, but when we're back, more Halo 3 action. Don't go anywhere.